Hello, everyone. As people are coming in, we're going to wait just a couple minutes before we get started as people are coming in. So just please, there is a QR code on the screen. Make sure you're checking in. And then Abby will also be putting a link or a code in the chat if you want to check in that way. So make sure you get checked in, and we're going to get started in just a couple moments. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Again, just go make sure for the last few that came in, make sure you're scanning the QR code just to check in, and then there will also be a link in the chat if you'd rather check in that way. But thank you for attending our workshop today for Prepare for the Fair. We do have Business Horizons coming up, so we appreciate you getting prepped for that and getting started. Just to kind of start us out, if you're new and haven't come to a career chat before, we love to introduce our team just to make sure you know who we are. So this is our advising staff. If you are going to go book an appointment with us, this is who you can book with. And some different things that we can go over, of course, within one-on-one appointments is different topics such as like career exploration, resume reviews. Maybe you're preparing for an interview or need help with your job search strategies. We can kind of help with anything and everything career related. So if you have those questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. And again, you can book with us through Navigate, or you can send us an email if you'd like to book that way. Just to kind of touch on Business Horizons, if you haven't been before, it is Pamplin's largest career fair, and it is one of the largest as at Virginia Tech as a whole. It was established over 40 years ago, and you get two chances to go each year, one in the fall and one in the spring. And our spring one is coming up, of course. And typically, we have anywhere from 80 to 150 plus companies that like to come and that are hiring for jobs, internships, externships. Something that's a slightly different from the spring. The fall will typically be over 2 days, but for the spring one coming up, it will be one day, which is next Thursday, February 5th, and that is from 10 to 3 in Squires. And if you would like to register on Handshake, we have our QR code there. All right, let's get started.
Awesome. Thanks, Jordan. So especially for anyone who is a little bit newer to Pamplin or maybe hasn't attended Business Horizons before, we're going to go into a little activity here and we're going to have some statements up on the screen. Some of these are going to be true, some of them are going to be false, and I'd love to hear from the audience kind of what you're thinking about these statements. So, first one, something we hear a lot from students is only seniors should attend Business Horizons. So, if you think this is true, go ahead and put that in the chat. If you think it's false, go ahead and put it in the chat, and then we'll give it a second and Jordan will reveal our answer here. Wow, and looks like pretty unanimous so far. Answer is false. Anyone think it? Oh, there we go. There's our answer. So that was an easy one. Um, yeah, so career fairs are really important for wherever you are at in your career. If you're a senior looking for a job, that's great. If you're a freshman just looking to make connections and explore opportunities, career fairs are a really important way to do that as well. So would encourage you to attend regardless of what your school year is here in Pamplin. All right, let's see what our next one is. It's okay to take notes during or after conversations with recruiters. What are we thinking? Is this true or false? I might have made these too easy. Y'all are on it today. So far, we're getting a lot of trues in the chat. And Jordan, you want to reveal our answer here? This is true, yes. So bring a little pad, some paper, and a pen to write with when you come to the fair. Writing down names as you're talking to people, details from those conversations shows that you value those interactions, helps you know names and emails to follow up with later, and really helps you personalize those interactions. So definitely be making notes during and or after these conversations. Okay, our third one. Students who attend Business Horizons are likely to leave the event with an offer. What do we think? Is this true or false? Okay, we got some false responses. We have a not sure. Some more falses. All right, Jordan, what's our answer here? All right, so this statement is false. Um, Career fairs are a great way, as we talked about, to make contacts, but meeting these people is just the start of that process. You have names and people to follow up with later. You may even walk out of that with an interview sometimes, but offers are going to come later in that process after you've had the time to build on that connection, go through some interviews, and then that offer would come later should the company choose to extend an offer. All right, I think we got a couple more and then we're going to go into some tips. So, next to last one, if a recruiter ends a conversation by telling you to apply online, it means they're not interested. What do we think? Okay, we got some people thinking it's false. Someone thinks it might be true. Okay. All right, Jordan, what do we think here? All right, so this one is false. Typically, companies are going to process candidates through some kind of online application system. So if a recruiter tells you to apply, they're actually saying, "Hey, go ahead and take the next step in this process." They're not ready to maybe close the door on that interaction with you yet. They want to keep you involved and engaged. So that's actually a really important step in the process. If you receive this advice, we definitely encourage you to go ahead and submit that application as soon as possible. All right, and I think we have our last true or false here. Hopefully, this one's a little bit harder. We'll see. Okay, many companies at Business Horizons hire for roles outside of their core industry focus. Do we think this is true or false? All right, we got a couple people thinking it's false. Got a lot of people saying it's true. Okay, what's our final answer, Jordan? All right. And this one is true. So for you going into the fair, make sure to focus on your target roles and not just industries. So maybe you're an accounting student, make sure to talk to folks in hospitality and supply chain. They are hiring accountants as well. And you can see a few other examples up here on the screen, but focusing on what the job is instead of what sector or industry the job operates in will help you be really well-rounded as you're looking for opportunities and putting out applications. All right. Well, you guys were on it today. I'll have to make my questions a little harder for next time. But hopefully this was helpful. And I'm going to kick things back over to Jordan to lead us into a few tips for getting ready for the fair.
Yes. So, getting ready before the fair, what are some things that you should do? Well, the top one, of course, is making sure your resume is updated, right? We want to make sure that it's updated, it's polished, you are highlighting everything that you are wanting to highlight about yourself. We do have an example of one of our updated templates over here. If you would like for us to review your resume before the fair, you can schedule an appointment with us. You could email it over to our team email to where one of us can review it for you. There will also be opportunities for employer-led resume review sessions before the fair, which we will touch on. But those are great as well. As many eyes that you can get on it, the better. And then another tip for your resume, once you get it nice and updated, make sure you're printing out at least about 25 copies to bring. You're going to have your folder, your Padfolio, stick those in there and bring them in. Um, it is better to have too many than not enough. There are many a times when students leave the fair saying, "Oh, I need to go print out some more. Where do I need to go?" I don't think you can print in Squires. As far as I know, the closest place is probably the library. So just bring as many. I mean, when you're thinking about if your goal is to talk to 10 companies, add 10 to that, bring at least 20. But 25, 30, 40 copies, the more the better. If you want some more tips or resume help, there is a QR code here as well. If you have more specific questions or just want to review, feel free to reach out to us.
Awesome. So resume is really important to update going into career fair season here, but your LinkedIn is also really important to be updating as well. So if you maybe haven't touched your LinkedIn for a little bit, if you've forgotten your password, now is the time to be logging back in and making sure that that information is up to date. We touched a little bit on networking already in our true or false section, but you're going to be making new contacts at Business Horizons, meeting people that you want to stay in touch with. And so it's important that, as you're making these connections on LinkedIn, staying in touch, that the information you're presenting is the most up to date and accurate that it can be. So a few things to think about here. Start with your profile photo. If you have a professional headshot, that's great. If you don't, that is fine too. Just selecting a shoulders up photo, maybe cropping it a little bit. Just make sure that your outfit and the background behind you are professional, and that will be completely fine. Think about your headline. That's that little block of text right below your name. This is a great way to showcase a few key details and kind of a snapshot that someone will see when they first look at your profile. So, this could include your major, the fact that you're a student at Virginia Tech. This could include types of roles, internships that you are targeting. This could include maybe some technical skills or past experiences that you've had. There's a character limit, so just work with that to create something that is condensed, concise, but also reflects some key details about you. The About Me section, this is optional. You can opt in or opt out of having that on your profile. This is a space where you can go a little bit more in detail about experiences that you've had, interests, or roles that you are targeting. Moving on down the profile, you'll build out some information about your work experience, maybe campus activities, and this can be a copy paste from your resume. Just make sure you're putting that in concise, specific bullet points that are speaking to things that you've accomplished. Next, you're going to build out your network, and this can be with people that you already know. So think about your professors you have this semester, peers in your classes or orgs, people you work with, even folks on our team. We're happy to connect with you, be part of that network, and help you keep building that network out. And then finally, you can curate your feed on LinkedIn. You can do this by following our team. We post updates, opportunities that we come across. You can follow leaders in your industry, target companies you'd be interested in working for. And this is all a great way to kind of stay up to date on things that are going on in the world of LinkedIn. And then we have a QR code here with a few more tips as well if you're wanting to get really in depth.
All right. So now that we have our updated resume and hopefully updated LinkedIn, we kind of want to talk about what are we going to wear, right? So we want to plan that first impression for you to go talk to these recruiters. So we want to plan a nice business professional outfit. If you are needing help with resources or if you didn't bring an outfit to campus, there are resources here for you. We typically will run career services, a little pop-up closet in the atrium, but there is also a career closet through CPD, which is in the Smith Career Center. I do believe you have to schedule an appointment to go see that, but there is a resource for that if you're needing it. Something else I want you to think about when you're planning your outfit is, especially the ladies, make sure you're planning really comfortable shoes, right? Like we know that you want to style and profile. I totally get it, look the part. But if you're planning to be there for a few hours or the whole time, we don't want your feet to hurt and you're going to be standing a lot and walking around. So we just want you to think ahead. So make sure that they're at least comfortable and you're not in pain when talking to recruiters. Um, Prep your outfit ahead of time and all the accessories, all that. We don't want you to panic or freak out your outfit the morning of. So at least the night before, if you can do it a few days prior, that would be best practice. That way you're just feeling confident and prepared going in. Neat personal grooming, especially for our fellas. Make sure if you have facial hair, it's nicely well groomed. Make sure that it doesn't look like you've just rolled out of bed. Something else to think about is, smells. You want to be courteous of the scents, but you don't want it to be too strong, but you do want to have nice personal hygiene there. Practicing your handshake, posture, your eye contact, those are important things to think about. And then also practicing your elevator pitch or that introduction for you to kind of talk with recruiters, right? So going into elevator pitch here.
Awesome. Thanks, Jordan. So simply put, an elevator pitch is just how you're going to introduce yourself. In the context of a career fair, it's really important to practice this beforehand because it's so easy to get nervous, forget what you want to say, and then you can leave out really important details like your name or your major. So, practicing beforehand helps you kind of remember those key details that you want to hit on when you get into a situation where you're maybe a little bit nervous and you might forget. So, we're going to start with a few key details. So, name, major, school year, and you can also lead with the kind of opportunity you're looking for as well. So, basic details. Next, you might add a couple details about experiences you've had or value that you could add to that company. And then you might want to close out with a question. So, a specific, well-researched question goes a long way to keeping that conversation going. One thing I want to point out here is this appears like a big block of text on the screen, but what we don't want this to be is walking up to a table and giving a speech. This should be ideally a conversation. So if I'm walking up to a table and Jordan's my recruiter, I might say, "Hi, it's great to meet you. My name's Fiona." And Jordan would say, "Wow, it's great to meet you too. My name's Jordan. What are you majoring in?" Then that's my cue to start giving a few of those more details to keep the conversation going and then maybe lead into a question. We're going to go into a little bit more depth on some research to do, but I hope that this is helpful just to think about ways that you can prepare to introduce yourself and share some of those key details up front.
Absolutely. Just remember, they are just another person like you are. It is just a normal conversation. It's just an introduction of yourself. But great job there. Okay, resume check, LinkedIn check, elevator pitch, check. Let's start making a game plan and so that you're feeling prepared. If you go in trying to wing it or I'm going to figure out who I'm going to talk to when I see everyone, you're going to get overwhelmed really, really quickly or maybe intimidated. I don't know. So let's make a game plan here. A really good way to start out, again, you're going to have your Padfolio. Feel free to start making some notes. Refresh your memory there when you're waiting in line or right as you walk in. Make some notes here. Start making a list. Here we have identify 3 to 5 companies that you want to prioritize. Yeah, okay, these are my top 5 that I really, really want to go talk to. Then maybe make another secondary list. Okay, if I have time or if the lines aren't long, I want to go talk to these 4 or 5. So have a couple lists here on some companies that you are targeting. And then going into those companies, make sure you're researching kind of who are they? What type of positions do they have? What are you going to be interested in, or why are you interested in talking to them? You need to have a reason to go talk to these recruiters, right? If you're one of the students that goes up to a recruiter and just says, "Hi, this is my name. This is what I'm studying in. Can you tell me about your company?" That might be more of a conversation that you get where it says, "Here's a QR code next in line, please." Hopefully that doesn't happen. But you want to have something where you have a valuable conversation, right? So you want to feel prepared and do your research. So when you are looking at these different companies, who are they? What kind of roles do they have? This is when you can start thinking of those different questions or some different talking points to talk with these recruiters to help you stand out from your peers. So again, you're going to be making your notes, have your companies written down and say, "Okay, when I go talk to this recruiter, this is what I saw on their website, or this is the type of internship that I saw. I would love to ask about that." When you're waiting in line, refresh your memory. That way you don't forget. But make notes there. Have something or a well thought out question to create that valuable conversation with these recruiters. Then we have identify those realistic goals for your conversations with recruiters. What is the reason that you're there? Are you trying to get interviews? Are you a freshman and sophomore looking for externships that are building connections? Are you looking for an internship right now? Are you looking for full time? You need to think about your goal and what you're trying to get out of attending this career fair. So start thinking about that, which will lead to different questions and different things. That way you can feel accomplished leaving, and hopefully you hit the goals that you want to. Something else when we were kind of talking about elevator pitch, and now that we're making a game plan, I have this conversation a lot with students, and I just want you all to kind of think about this. If you are someone that gets a little nervous, which is very, very normal, if you have your top priority list, and you know who your top companies are, if you feel like you need to get one or two under your belt before you talk to who you're really interested in, go talk to someone else, have a practice go round, then get your confidence built up so you can go talk to, your ideal companies. So make that could be part of your game plan. So think over that. So, going into our research and what this can look like, I kind of wanted to show you some visuals on how to kind of set this up for you. So, if you go into Handshake when you're going to register, if you hit the employers, which is circled here, it's going to pull up a list of everyone that has registered to come to the Business Horizons. So I have just picked an example company here. They do have their websites linked. It usually has like a little about me and who they are. That way you have a little gist there. And then if you hit the more down arrow button, it's going to tell you a little more details. It kind of looks like this. So it's got different job titles. Some companies will list them, some will not. It will have, are they looking for internships, full-time positions, maybe some different majors they're looking for, and also some school years. So this one shows they're looking for master's students, seniors, juniors, and sophomores. So these are things that you can take into consideration when you are doing your research and creating your list on who you want to talk to. If you're at the top of the employer list, there will also be a filter option. So if you are someone that wants to kind of just narrow it down to see, okay, who's looking for internships right now within finance. You can put in under job type, you could choose internship or full time, and then go down to majors, choose your major. Something I will also point out with this is if there's a company that is attending that you know you're going to be interested in possibly interning or working full time with down the road, but maybe they're not looking for what you are in this moment, whether you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, or they don't have the internship, whatever you're looking for right now, go have a conversation. Get in front of these recruiters as many times as you can so that they remember your face, remember your name, can always look at your resume. Um, a lot of the times, the same recruiters come every Business Horizons. So if you know you're going to be interested, make a point to go have a conversation, even if it's not going to be a direct takeaway or something that is going to happen right away for you. Like if you're looking for an internship and they only have full time right now, go have a conversation. So taking the research a little bit further, so you've looked through Handshake, you know who you want to go talk to. Let's go into their website. So I just stuck with this example. We're going to click that website here, and it's going to pull up their careers page. And you can explore whatever you want through their website. Of course, you can go to the careers. And when I clicked Crow's career page here, it gave me some really cool options. You can go look at it as a student, as an experienced professional. You can look at what we do, and you can also search those careers. So this is a really great way to continue that research and to make sure that you're having talking points or those questions that aren't easily Googled or that you've already learned on their website, but maybe you want to know more about something. So this can really help you in that research aspect. If you're going to a recruiter with a well thought out question, showing that you're interested and showing that you've done your research, you're going to stand out. So these are some really great ways to research. And of course, you can always connect with alumni as well that maybe already work there. If you know you're interested in specific companies, that's another way to learn a little bit more. All right, going into making a plan with Fiona.
Alrighty. So now, assuming we've done that research, we have a good idea of who we want to talk to at the fair. Now's a good time to start thinking about questions that you want to Ask different people that you meet at these different companies. So I have some questions up here on the screen that can work for pretty much anyone, regardless of their job title. You can ask things about how long have they been with the company? What's some of their favorite things about working there? Do they have any advice for you? Just to kind of get that conversation going. Again, Jordan mentioned having specific questions. So leading with those really specific questions up front is a great way to start that conversation. And then if you want to keep it going, these are some ones that you can ask to kind of get someone's different perspective on things. You can also bring in some personal talking points. So, if you're working on some really cool class projects, if you came across something in your research that really excited you about that company, go ahead and bring that up. That's a great way to show some value that you could add at that company, show the research you've been doing, and continue that conversation. One note I'll make here, as you're starting to have that conversation, see if you can make note of that person's job title that you're talking to, because that may help you tailor the questions that you're asking. If you want to talk about really technical projects, and you're speaking with a recruiter, they may not have the vocabulary to necessarily engage with you on the level that you're hoping for. They would be a better person to ask about things like hiring timelines, maybe benefits with that company. You may talk to someone at the company who is in a really technical role. That's the person that you can talk to about that projects that you're working on in GitHub or something that you did in a past internship. That's a great way to make a connection with someone who is currently in the role doing it every day. So just make note of who you're talking to, maybe tailor your questions accordingly, and then bring in some of that research that Jordan was talking about to ask really specific, informed questions. All right, so these are all things that you can be doing before the fair to feel really prepared and confident. We're going to touch on a couple logistics to keep in mind once you're actually at the event, talking to people. So going into our next slide here, here are just a few logistics to kind of keep in mind as you're getting ready for the event. So, first thing is you're going to want to check in. There's going to be a table right front and center before you enter the event with a bunch of really friendly volunteers there. Just walk up to the table, tell them your name, and we'll print a beautiful, lovely name tag for you to have. Now, quick note on this, if you run out to go to the bathroom, if you have to go to class and come back, just make sure you keep that name tag because you'll need that to get back into the event later on. Second thing, and I think Jordan touched on this already, if you are standing in line for a company, maybe some of our larger, more well-known companies, use that time to your advantage. You can go back over notes that you made, questions that you want to ask. You can also use that time to start connecting with people on LinkedIn that you've met at other companies that you just talked to. So use that time to your advantage to kind of recap and then think about what's next. Third tip here, and I touched on this a little bit already, but not everyone at the table that you're talking to is going to be a recruiter or someone involved in the hiring process. Regardless of who you're talking to, make sure that you let your professionalism shine, represent you really well in that conversation. At the end of the event, all of those people are going to get together. They're going to talk about their experience that day, who they talked to, and everyone's feedback is going to play a role in who moves forward to the next stage. So even if you're not talking to a recruiter or a hiring manager, make sure that you're still giving that person your full attention and your best professional side in that conversation. Fourth tip here, as you're having these conversations, make sure to write down, again, take notes, write down people's names, their email addresses, LinkedIn information. If it's a recruiter, you can even ask about next steps. Maybe you've applied to an internship already and you want to kind of get a sense of the timeline there. Oftentimes, we hear from students after the event that connected with someone, had a great conversation, but they can't remember their name. Unfortunately, we don't track that information. We're not able to share that with you. So please don't leave a great conversation without getting this information so that you can stay in touch afterwards. Fifth tip here, Jordan touched on this a little bit already, but be open, keep an open mind for chatting to employers that you hadn't maybe heard of or thought about before the event. This is a great way to have kind of a warm-up conversation before having some of these high-stakes conversations, but keep an open mind to the opportunities that they have as well. Oftentimes, you can have a longer conversation with these employers. You can go a little bit more in depth because there's not a line of 20 people standing behind you waiting to talk to them. So, bring your best self to these conversations, keep an open mind, and you could walk away learning about an opportunity that's a really cool option for you. Final tip here, and you will be prompted if you come up to the check-in table with a big bag or try to enter the event, just make sure to drop off that book bag or that large purse in our little drop-off area before you go into the event. This is really just a logistics thing. We don't want you turning around with a big backpack and someone getting knocked over. So just make sure to drop that off. It'll be easier on your shoulders. You'll have a better time, and the whole event will be a little bit more smooth. So, a few things just to keep in mind here during the event itself.
Yes, I love that fifth tip. That's one of my favorite tips, giving and encouraging students to kind of think about. Just because you're financed does not mean you have to go talk to only financial firms, right? Or if you're a BIT student, you don't only have to talk to tech companies. There are business roles and opportunities in every industry. So I love to encourage students to think outside the box a little bit and kind of think. And I mean, it will just help you find different types of opportunities, more opportunities, whether it's internships, full time. So look into those construction companies or the hospitality companies, healthcare, sports, fashion. All those are wonderful industries. So keep an open mind. All right, so that was during the fair. Let's kind of think about what do we need to do after the fair. Just because you walk out and leave the event does not mean it's over. Let's keep the party going. So we want to follow up and stay connected. We've touched on this already a little bit, but this is a great time to use your LinkedIn. If you're not super active on it, hopefully you're updating that now. But this is a good way to get started. And whether you want to reach out to them, LinkedIn or email would be fine. I think LinkedIn would be very professional though. That way they can check out your profile, see who you are, maybe refresh their memory. But make sure you're connecting with them. Uh, Also, another good way to stay connected is look for those additional opportunities to engage with recruiters. A lot of times, the same recruiters are coming on campus. If it's not an event through Pamplin Career Services, if you go through handshake events and maybe they're here for something else, see if you can attend and go connect with them again. But there's handshake events. You can connect through externships, especially if you're a freshman or sophomore. There are job simulation opportunities within Forage. If you're not familiar with that, you could reach out to us and we can kind of walk you through what that is. And then you could also follow up and kind of see with coffee chats, whether that's with the recruiter or if there are alumni and other Hokies that are employed by the companies that you are interested in working with. So that's a good way to stay connected there. Within about 24 hours is be a great time to send like a little brief professional thank you message. Again, I would prefer LinkedIn, but if you have their email, totally your preference there. But an example of this could be depending on what you spoke about. Would be a good way to kind of follow up. Some students are a little hesitant with this. Either they're a little nervous or feel like they bother recruiters or they're not really sure what to say. This is their job. This is what they enjoy doing. And this shows your professional side and it shows your interest in that company or that position. So don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone a little bit and reach out to them. And a good example would be like maybe you go to a recruiter and they did encourage you to apply to an internship that is about to open or is open, and you went ahead and applied. You could reach out and say, "Hi, we spoke at Business Horizons. Thank you again so much. We talked about me applying to blah, blah, blah internship. I want to let you know that I actually just did that and wanted to thank you again." A lot of times they may read that and maybe pull your application. Go ahead and take a look at your resume. Hopefully they respond. If not, that's okay. It's still a very professional step of you, but it's going to help you stand out compared to your peers if you do that extra step. There's another example down here, but whatever from your notes that you have that you talked about, or if you have a follow-up question, don't be afraid to reach out to them. That's what they're there for.
Awesome. Well, with sending some of these communications to folks, we also want to make sure that you are responsive if you are receiving communication back from them in turn. So, just like Jordan was mentioning, if you were encouraged to apply for something or take any kind of other action step, go ahead and make sure that you're doing that as soon as possible. I know things get so busy, but this is a great option where you can follow up, you can take that action, and then you can send a message to share that update that you took action, you completed that step that they recommended for you. During the days following Business Horizons, make sure that you're monitoring your email, your phone notifications. Some companies host interviews very shortly after. They may want to get in touch with you while they're still on campus. So make sure you don't miss an opportunity to connect with a recruiter. And then during that process, keep applying for opportunities. Just because you have an internship or just because you have an interview scheduled, or maybe other great conversations that you had, doesn't mean you should stop applying for things. So keep applying until you get that offer, you signed your name, and that is set in stone. Little pro tip here. I don't know if you're like me. I don't really answer phone calls from numbers that I don't recognize, but that week after Business Horizons may be a good time to make an exception if you were like me in that regard. Regardless, make sure your voicemail's set up, make sure that greeting is professional, and if your voicemail storage is full, go ahead and delete some messages to make space. You can even have a friend call you, let it go to voicemail, just test this out, but don't let a great opportunity pass you by just because that voicemail was full or you didn't check your email and they couldn't get in touch with you. So just be responsive, follow through on actions that were recommended for you to take, and then follow up quickly with any communication that you receive. All right. So those are some main tips to keep in mind from our team to you. We hope this was helpful today. Again, this is our team. These are a few ways you can get in touch with us or book an appointment, maybe leading up to Business Horizons for a little more hands-on support. The chat is open, so if there are questions that have come up during our presentation, please feel free to drop those in the chat. If not, thank you so much for being here today. It was great spending some time with you and sharing a few tips, and we'll look forward to seeing you at Business Horizons.
Yes, thank you, everyone. And something else that I want you to think about is we do have Prepare for the Fair events coming up next week. It's 2 days or the 2 days before Business Horizon. So if you want employers getting a little look at your resume, if you need updates or if you want to practice your elevator pitch, there should be some employers on campus. So keep an eye out for those events if you want to have more conversations to prepare.